Hey everybody, it's Mike over at Taxes and Bricks. It is time for episode 28. We are finally wrapping up our four-part series on filing status with qualifying widow or widower. So strap in. This one's actually kind of uncommon. I mean, I probably should have lumped it in with one of the others, but then I wouldn't have had an excuse to see you again. So, to stretch out the love, we're going to do this as a separate episode, but probably a pretty short video here, because qualifying widow or widower isn't really a very common situation that we see, thankfully, because it usually means, well, always means that a spouse has died, which sucks. So, I mean, I guess unless you didn't like your spouse in the first place, and I mean, I guess that was good. But since qualifying widow or widower also usually involves a child, that definitely sucks. So strap in, like I said, episode 28. We're continuing the four-part series here with part 4, qualifying widow or widower. I'm going to take a quick break here, pay the lawyers since this is tax advice, and we'll be right back.
This video is rated TAX and contains occasional ramblings, mild attempts at humor, self-deprecation, irreverence, brief numerical examples, and adult tax and accounting advice that may not be suitable for all taxpayers. Viewer discretion is advised. Before following any of the advice in this or any of our videos, you should always consult with a tax professional. Thank you.
All right, welcome back. Thank you. So, again, like the other filing status ones, I'm going to read directly from the tax code here because I know, big shocker. The IRS has kind of got it right in terms of their descriptions, and they actually make it pretty simple to kind of understand. So we talked about single, we talked about married, we talked about married filing joint and separate, we talked about head of household. If you haven't seen those videos, you're going to want to check them out because I'm going to be referencing something from head of household in this particular section, having to do with the definition of a child. But I'll go through it really quickly. But if you really want to have a good understanding of the definition of a child, hit up, I believe it was last Wednesday's video, so a week ago when we did head of household, and sort of towards the middle to the end, we talk about the definition of a child. But again, I'll go through it again. So qualifying widow or widower for 2021 must pass all of the following tests. All. That doesn't mean one or two or some or none. All means all. I would consult the dictionary if you don't know what all means. So, the taxpayer's spouse must have passed away in 2019 or 2020. Okay? If they die in 2021, remember we talked about this in the married section, then that person is married for the entirety of 2021, okay? It's 2019, they died, or 2020, the spouse passed away, and that would be, for 2021, a qualifying widow or widower, the person who survives. The taxpayer, the surviving taxpayer, would have been entitled to file a joint return for the year that the spouse died, okay? So if in 2019, a couple married and one spouse passes away, and they could have filed jointly for that particular year, then the following year, or for 2021, qualifying widow or widower would be applicable. Okay. The taxpayer, the surviving taxpayer, obviously, did not remarry prior to January 1st, 2022. Why is that important? Well, we talked about this on Monday. If you are married on the last day of the year, you're married, and therefore if you're married, you got two filing status options: married filing joint, married filing separate. You can't be qualifying widow or widower because you can't be qualifying widow or widower because you only have two options: joint or separate. Married. Good. Okay, this one's important. Taxpayer paid more than half the cost of upkeeping his or her home. If you want to know what the sort of concept of keeping up your home and paying more than half the cost is, again, head of household is a really good description of that thing, but it's going to be like paying half the rent, half the mortgage, half the utilities, more than half of those things, half of the, groceries that are consumed, half of the repair bills, furnishings, things like that. basically you have to be paying for half or more than half, or all of the cost of keeping up your home. Okay. And then this one's really important. Without this one, and without the others, frankly, you don't get qualifying widow or widower. The taxpayer's home, the surviving taxpayer's home, was the main home for the entire year, not 11 months, not 9 months, not 6 months, not 1 week, the entire year of a dependent child or stepchild, not a foster child. So foster children are excluded from this, okay? If you have a foster child, then you might be head of household, okay? And you can go back again, head of household last Wednesday. Take a look, okay? So all of those things are hit, and you get to file qualifying widow or widower. Why would you do this? Because you're thinking to yourself, well, it sounds to me like you're unmarried because the spouse passed away in like 19 or 20, and you got a kid, and you're keeping up more than half your home. This is starting to sound like head of household, right? Well, it does. And certainly if you're qualified as qualifying widow or widower, you're most likely qualified as head of household. But taxes for qualifying widow or widower usually mirror taxes for a married filing joint couple, which would be slightly lower than head of household. So in the instance that you have a situation where you could go qualifying widow or widower, it might be more beneficial than choosing head of household, but certainly head of household would be an option, either if you don't qualify for, some of these things, like you didn't have a spouse that passed away, or it was prior to 2019 that the spouse passed away, something like that, okay? In the event that you are in this situation, first of all, I'm very sorry, as again, it's not very pleasant to be in a situation where you're kind of having to deal with not only the passing of a spouse, even if it was 2 years ago, but also you have a child, and that can, certainly add complications to things. But you're definitely going to want to talk to somebody and kind of seek out some assistance, because in addition to some of the tax benefits that can come with having the opportunity to file qualifying widow or widower, should the right circumstances present themselves that gives you sort of the permission to do this. There are going to be other things that you may be able to take advantage of in the tax code, certain elevated levels of income that you can have before you phase out for things like IRAs or child tax credits or dependent care credits and things like that, okay? So, quick recap. Spouse passes away 19 or 20 for 2021, as long as you were entitled to file a joint return the year that they passed away. You didn't remarry before January 1st of 2022. You pay more than half the maintenance and upkeep of your home, and your home is the primary home for a child for all of the entirety of the year 2021. Then you're eligible to select qualifying widow or widower as your filing status. All right, that's it in a nutshell. Qualifying widow or widower. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments section below. Hit the like button. Coming back tomorrow, which is Thursday, with Lego Day, I think I'm going to start the architecture series finally. I don't know. We'll see. I'm kind of excited about it, though, because they're cool little builds. They're real small, and they're well, not real small. Some of them are actually kind of big, but anyway, I think you'll like them. They're kind of interesting. I'm thinking of coupling them with some interesting facts and information about the different landmarks and buildings and things like that. Although anybody who knows me knows when I used to give tours of DC, I would just make stuff up as we were driving around, and I would point out buildings that had absolutely no significance and pretend like that was where, Abraham Lincoln had his bris or something like that. Anyway, I don't know. We'll see. Maybe I'll make some stuff up and they'll be funny. Maybe I won't. Who knows? Maybe I'll be serious. I guess it just depends on, who put pepper in my eggs that day. So stay tuned tomorrow. Thanks for watching episode 28. Have a great day. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and we'll talk to you later.